Tonight, we aren't visiting ancient Rome as emperors or famous generals. There are no grand speeches in the Senate waiting for us, and no triumphal parade marching through the streets. Instead, you're about to spend one completely ordinary day as an everyday Roman. As you settle in, imagine the warm air of Italy, the smell of fresh bread drifting from a nearby bakery, and the distant sound of cartwheels rolling over stone streets. Rome is waking up, and so are you. Along the way, you'll discover what people ate, where they worked, how they relaxed, what their homes were really like, and why life in one of history's greatest cities was both fascinating and surprisingly challenging. So dim the lights, get comfortable, and let your mind drift back nearly 2,000 years. Because your day in ancient Rome is about to begin, take a deep breath, get comfortable. Pull your blanket a little closer. Tonight, we are not staying in the modern world. We are going back almost 2,000 years to one of the biggest cities the world has ever seen. Welcome to ancient Rome, not the shiny movie version with perfect marble buildings and dramatic music. This is the real Rome, loud, crowded, busy, and if we are being honest, a little smelly. Now imagine you are opening your eyes. It is still dark outside. The sun has not even climbed over the hills yet. There are no phone alarms, no digital clocks, no coffee machine waiting in the kitchen. Instead, a rooster screams outside your window, not politely. It sounds like he has made it his life's mission to wake every person in the neighborhood. A second rooster answers from farther away, then another. Soon it feels like every chicken in the Roman Empire has joined the conversation. You groan. Congratulations. This is your alarm clock now. As you sit up, you notice your bed is much harder than the one you know today. It is a simple wooden frame with a thin mattress stuffed with straw or wool. It has done its best, but it is not winning any comfort awards. You stretch carefully. The room is small, much smaller than you expected. The walls are plain. A tiny oil lamp flickers in one corner, filling the room with a warm yellow glow. It also gives off a little smoke, because nothing in ancient Rome seems to come without a small inconvenience. You rub your eyes. Outside, you can already hear the city waking up. Wooden cart wheels rattle over rough stone streets. Someone is calling to another person across the road. A dog starts barking. Somewhere nearby, a baby has decided this is the perfect time to cry. Peaceful mornings are not really a Roman tradition. You stand and walk across the room. Your family is already awake. Your father is getting ready for work. He ties his simple tunic and checks the small pouch that holds a few coins. Every day matters because every coin matters. Your mother is busy preparing the morning meal. She moves quickly because there is always something to do. Water needs carrying. Bread needs cutting. The house needs cleaning before the day becomes even busier. If you have brothers or sisters, they are slowly waking up too. One is still half asleep. Another is already arguing over who gets the bigger piece of bread. Some things never change. Breakfast is simple. Forget giant pancakes, cereal, or bacon. Today you have bread, maybe dipped in olive oil. If your family has a little more money, there could be cheese, olives, or some fruit. You might drink watered-down wine if you are older, or water if it is fresh enough. You eat quickly because the day will not wait for anyone. Now you step outside. The cool morning air feels nice. For about 5 seconds, then Rome reminds you that over 1 million people live here. The street is already full of life. Neighbors sweep the front of their homes. Merchants carry baskets toward the marketplace. Workers hurry past, hoping to reach their jobs before the streets become impossible to cross. Donkeys loaded with supplies slowly make their way through the crowd. Nobody seems to be in a relaxing mood. You look around your neighborhood. If your family is like many ordinary Romans, you live in an apartment building called an insula. These buildings can be several floors high. They are packed with families living close together. Very close together. You can hear conversations through the walls. You can hear babies crying. You can hear someone dropping a pot upstairs. Privacy is more of a dream than a reality. The narrow streets twist between buildings made of brick and stone. Laundry hangs from windows. Small shops open their wooden doors. Bakers pull fresh bread from hot ovens, filling the air with one of the best smells in the entire city. Finally, something smells nice. Of course, that wonderful smell has competition. Nearby animals leave little surprises on the roads. Waste from homes sometimes ends up outside. Public drains do their best, but they cannot keep up with a city this crowded. Let's just say, breathing through your mouth becomes a useful skill. As the sun finally rises, golden light touches the rooftops. For a moment, Rome looks beautiful. Temples stand proudly in the distance. Columns shine in the morning light. You can almost forget how noisy everything is. Almost. People from every corner of the empire walk these streets. Some speak Latin. Others speak Greek or languages you have never heard before. Traders bring goods from Africa, Egypt, Spain, Britain, and lands even farther away. Rome feels like the center of the world. Because for many people living here it is. You continue walking with your family. You pass tiny shops selling bread, pottery, cloth, sandals, and tools. Shopkeepers call out to anyone passing by, hoping to make their first sale of the day. One seller smiles at you. Another promises his bread is the freshest in Rome. The baker next door says exactly the same thing. Competition is alive and well. Children run through the streets, laughing as they chase each other between adults carrying heavy baskets. A group of workers pushes a cart filled with stone for another building project. Construction never seems to stop. Rome is always growing, always changing, always making more noise than anyone thought possible. You glance toward the larger parts of the city. Far away, you can see grand buildings that rich families enjoy. Their homes are much larger with open courtyards, beautiful gardens, colorful paintings, and even private fountains. Meanwhile, your family shares every bit of space carefully. Life depends a lot on how much money you have, but whether rich or poor, nearly everyone starts the day early. There is too much work to do. As you stand in the busy street, you realize something important. Ancient Rome is not just a place full of famous emperors, brave soldiers, and giant monuments. It is also a city filled with ordinary people, parents trying to feed their children, workers hoping to earn enough money, shopkeepers waiting for customers, kids trying to avoid chores whenever possible. History is not only made by kings, it is also made by families like yours. The city around you grows louder every minute. More carts, more voices. More footsteps echo across the stone roads. The day has only just begun, and so has your adventure. Because tomorrow you will discover what breakfast, work, and daily life are really like for an ordinary Roman. For now, enjoy these last quiet moments. Well, as quiet as ancient Rome ever gets. Before the city fully wakes up, your stomach reminds you that even in ancient Rome, breakfast is a pretty important event. So, You follow the smell of fresh bread drifting through the narrow streets. It is warm, comforting, and honestly one of the best smells you have ever noticed. There are no drive-through windows, no breakfast cereal, no giant cups of coffee. Just a simple meal that gets everyone ready for another busy day. Your family is already sitting around a small wooden table. Breakfast in Rome is not a huge event. Romans usually save their biggest meal for later in the day. Morning food is meant to be quick, simple, and enough to keep you moving. Waiting for you is a thick piece of fresh bread. It is not soft like the fluffy bread from a modern bakery. This loaf has a hard crust that could probably survive a small battle. The inside is chewy and filling. You quickly learn that Roman bread is something your jaw has to negotiate with. Bread is the heart of almost every Roman meal. Rich families have white bread made from fine flour. Poor families often eat darker bread made from rougher grain. Either way, bread keeps everyone alive. Without it, life gets much harder. You tear off a piece while it is still warm. Steam escapes into the cool morning air. Even without butter or jam, it tastes pretty good. Fresh bread does not need much help. Sometimes people dip bread into olive oil. Sometimes they eat it plain. Sometimes they rub it with garlic or sprinkle a little salt on top. Fancy sandwiches have not arrived yet. Beside the bread sits a small bowl filled with olives. You carefully pick one up. The first bite surprises you. It is salty, very salty. Your face almost gives away your opinion, but everyone around the table keeps eating like nothing happened. Apparently, this is perfectly normal. Olives are everywhere in Rome. Olive trees grow across much of Italy, and almost every family uses olives or olive oil every day. They are easy to store, full of healthy fat, and travel well. Roman merchants carry them across the empire by ship and wagon. After a few bites, your taste buds begin to understand the assignment. They are actually pretty good. You grab another one. Then another. Congratulations. You are becoming Roman. Next comes cheese. Roman cheese is usually made from sheep or goat milk. It has a stronger taste than many modern cheeses. Some are soft. Others are so hard that you almost wonder if they were carved from stone. You slice off a small piece and place it on your bread. Now breakfast feels complete. Simple, filling, nothing fancy. That is exactly how most Romans like it. Of course, not every family eats the same meal. A wealthy household might enjoy fruit like figs, grapes, or apples. They might add honey over fresh cheese or enjoy small pastries sweetened with dates. Meanwhile, poorer families often have only bread and maybe a few olives if they are lucky. Food tells you a lot about someone's place in Roman society. The richer you are, the more choices you have. The poorer you are, the more creative you become with simple ingredients. Still, one thing surprises you. Nobody is pouring a big glass of plain water. Instead, someone hands you a small cup filled with wine. You pause. Isn't it a little early for that? Before you start judging 2,000-year-old breakfast habits, there is something important to understand. Roman wine is not usually drunk the way many people drink wine today. It is almost always mixed with water. Sometimes there is much more water than wine. Drinking strong wine without adding water is often seen as rude or even a bit wild. Some Romans think only barbarians drink it straight. So yes, you are technically drinking wine, but it is much weaker than you probably imagine. Still, why not simply drink water? The answer is surprisingly practical. Finding clean drinking water is not always easy. Rome has amazing aqueducts that bring fresh water into the city, and many public fountains provide clean water. But outside those systems, water can easily become dirty while sitting in storage jars, collecting waste, or flowing through polluted areas. Mixing water with wine makes the drink taste better and can help lower the risk from harmful germs because wine contains alcohol and natural acids. It is not perfect protection, but it is often safer than questionable water alone. So when your Roman family pours watered wine at breakfast, they are not trying to start the day with a party. They are simply doing what seems normal and practical. You take a careful sip. It tastes lighter than expected, a little fruity, a little sour, not exactly grape juice, not exactly modern wine. Somewhere in between, you decide you could get used to it. As breakfast continues, conversation stays relaxed. People discuss work waiting outside. Someone mentions prices at the market. Another talks about repairs needed on the roof before the next rain. Children finish eating quickly because there are chores to do. Nobody spends an hour scrolling through a phone. Mostly because phones will not exist for another couple thousand years. Breakfast ends almost as quickly as it began. The table is cleared. Bread crumbs are brushed aside. The day is calling. Outside, the streets grow busier every minute. Bakers continue pulling fresh loaves from hot ovens. Shopkeepers unlock wooden shutters. Merchants arrange baskets filled with vegetables, fish, pottery, and cloth. Donkeys slowly carry heavy loads through the narrow streets while drivers shout warnings for people to move aside. Rome is fully awake now. As you walk outside, you realize how much this simple breakfast says about Roman life. Nothing is wasted. Food is precious. Meals are built around what the land provides. Bread from grain, olives from trees, cheese from sheep and goats, wine from vineyards stretching across the countryside. Most ingredients travel only short distances before reaching your table. There are no plastic wrappers, no frozen meals, no delivery apps promising breakfast in 15 minutes. If someone wants bread, somebody had to grow the wheat, harvest it, grind it into flour, knead the dough by hand, and bake it in a hot oven before sunrise. Every bite carries hours of hard work behind it. That makes people value food differently. Even children understand that wasting bread is wasting someone's labor. As you finish the last piece of your meal, you dust flour from your hands and take one final look around your Roman home. The smell of fresh bread still hangs in the air. Sunlight now reaches across the rooftops. The city outside buzzes louder with every passing minute. Your stomach is full. Your sandals are back on. And your adventure through ancient Rome is only just getting started. Because breakfast may have been simple, but the rest of the day is about to become a whole lot more interesting. You step outside just as the morning sun begins to warm the rooftops of Rome. The quiet from earlier is already gone. The city has completely woken up. Every street seems alive. Every corner has something happening. Every few steps, someone is talking, shouting, laughing, arguing, buying, selling, or trying very hard not to get hit by a cart. If you thought modern cities were busy, welcome to ancient Rome. There are no cars, no motorcycles, no buses, and somehow it still feels like traffic. The stone streets are packed with people moving in every direction. Some carry baskets filled with vegetables. Others pull small carts loaded with pottery. Rich citizens walk with servants following behind them. Soldiers march through the streets with serious faces, trying not to be slowed down by the crowd. You quickly learn one important Roman survival skill: watch where you're going. Not because someone might bump into you. That will definitely happen. The real danger is stepping into something left behind by a horse. Let's just say Roman roads come with natural obstacles. As you carefully dodge your latest surprise, a loud voice catches your attention. Fresh bread. Fresh bread. A baker is standing outside his shop, proudly holding up warm loaves that came out of the oven only moments ago. The smell is impossible to ignore. Fresh bread fills the air and somehow makes you feel hungry again, even though breakfast was not that long ago. The baker smiles as people gather around his stall. Some customers buy one loaf. Others buy several for the whole family. Bread is so important that many Romans stop here almost every day. Inside the bakery, workers are already busy. One man kneads fresh dough with strong hands. Another feeds wood into a giant oven that glows bright orange. Someone else stacks baked loaves into neat piles. Nobody is standing around. Everyone has a job. The bakery feels more like a tiny factory than a quiet kitchen. You continue walking. The smell of bread slowly fades. Then another sound takes over. Clang, clang, clang. You turn the corner and find the neighborhood blacksmith. This place is impossible to miss. The blacksmith swings a heavy hammer onto glowing hot metal. Each strike sends tiny sparks flying through the air. The ringing echoes down the street. If ancient Rome had alarm clocks, this would probably be one of them. The forge is incredibly hot. Even standing outside, you can feel waves of heat reaching your face. The blacksmith works without stopping. He makes nails, knives, door hinges, tools for farmers, horseshoes. Almost everything made from iron begins in a shop like this. Without blacksmiths, Rome would slow down very quickly. You quietly decide that standing next to flying sparks all day is probably not your dream job. Just a little farther down the street, another kind of business is opening. A cloth merchant hangs colorful fabric outside his doorway. Bright reds, deep blues, soft whites. Customers stop to touch the cloth and ask about prices. Of course, bargaining begins almost immediately. The seller says one price. The customer laughs. The customer offers half. The seller acts completely shocked. Neither person actually seems surprised. This is simply how shopping works. Nearby, another merchant arranges shiny glass bottles on a wooden table. Another displays cooking pots. Another sells sandals. Almost every street has something for sale. Rome feels like one giant outdoor shopping center, except with more donkeys. As the crowds grow thicker, street sellers begin calling from every direction. Fresh fish, sweet figs, olive oil, honey, the voices mix together into one giant wall of sound. Everyone is trying to be louder than everyone else. If you close your eyes, it almost sounds like dozens of people are all trying to win the world's loudest conversation. You honestly are not sure who is winning. Suddenly, a man walks past balancing baskets across his shoulders. Inside are steaming sausages. The smell follows him through the crowd like an invisible advertisement. Several people quickly hand over coins before he disappears into the next street. Fast food, Roman style. No paper bag included. Not everyone selling things owns a shop. Many simply carry their goods around the city. Some sell flowers. Others sell cooked beans. One elderly woman offers tiny clay lamps. A young boy carries baskets of fresh fruit almost as big as he is. Everyone is trying to earn enough money for the day. But the streets are not filled only with workers. Near a public fountain, you notice several beggars sitting quietly. Some are old. Some are injured. Some simply hold out a hand and hope someone passing by feels generous. Life in Rome can be difficult. There is no modern welfare system. If you lose your job, become sick, or cannot work anymore, surviving becomes much harder. Some people give coins, others offer bread, many simply keep walking. The city keeps moving whether you are lucky or not. As you continue exploring, something completely different catches your attention. Children, lots of them, not sitting inside classrooms all day, not staring at phones. They are running through the streets, laughing and playing games. One group tosses small nuts across the ground, aiming at a target. Another rolls a wooden hoop with a stick, racing each other down the road. A few boys pretend to be soldiers, using small wooden swords while loudly declaring victory after every imaginary battle. The battles seem very serious, until someone trips over a sandal. Then everyone laughs. Girls play with cloth dolls or simple toys made from wood. Some help younger brothers and sisters while adults work nearby. Children in Rome do have chores, but whenever they find free time, they play just like kids everywhere. Some things never really change. You smile as one little boy proudly shows his friends a smooth stone he believes is the greatest treasure ever discovered. Honestly, you have seen kids do almost the exact same thing today. The deeper you walk into the city, the louder everything becomes. Metal hammers ring from workshops, donkeys bray loudly. Dogs bark at passing strangers, merchants shout prices, customers argue over coins, carts rumble across rough stone roads, sandals slap against the pavement. People greet friends across the street by yelling instead of walking closer. Someone nearby starts singing while working. Another person immediately tells him to stop. The song continues anyway. Rome is noisy, very noisy. Forget peaceful background music. The soundtrack of this city is thousands of people living their lives all at once, and somehow everyone seems completely used to it. You realize that silence is actually rare here. Even when nobody speaks, there is always another sound waiting. A hammer, a cart wheel, a barking dog, a crying baby. A rooster that somehow still thinks it is sunrise. The city never truly sits still. You stop for a moment near the side of the road and simply watch. A baker carries another basket of warm bread. A blacksmith wipes sweat from his forehead before lifting his hammer again. A merchant smiles after making a good sale. A beggar quietly thanks someone for a small piece of food. Children race past, laughing so hard they almost knock into a goat. The goat does not look impressed. For the first time today, you are not just visiting ancient Rome. You feel like you are inside it. This is not a city of statues and ruins. It is alive. It breathes. It shouts. It smells like fresh bread, smoke, animals, and busy people trying to make a living. Every face has a story. Every shop has a purpose. Every street has its own rhythm. And this is only the beginning of your day. Because beyond these crowded streets waits the very heart of Roman life. A place where politics, shopping, gossip, business, and big decisions all come together. Your next stop is the center of the greatest city the ancient world has ever seen. The streets are now fully awake. The morning rush is in full swing, and everyone seems to have somewhere important to be. Rome is not a city that sleeps in once the sun is up. If you want to eat, pay rent, or simply survive, you work. So today you're going to see what that looks like. Spoiler alert, there are no office chairs, no emails. And definitely no working from home. As you walk through the busy streets, you notice that people split off in different directions. Each person has a job waiting. Some carry tools over their shoulders. Others push carts filled with goods. A few lead donkeys loaded with supplies. Everyone has a role. First, you leave the crowded city behind for a moment and head toward the countryside. This is where many Romans spend their lives, on farms. Rome may be famous for huge buildings and powerful armies, but none of that works without food. Farmers are some of the most important people in the empire. Fields stretch across the land. You see rows of wheat moving gently in the morning breeze. Nearby, workers care for olive trees that have stood there for many years. Others pick ripe grapes from vineyards that will later become wine. Some farmers raise sheep for wool and cheese. Others keep goats, chickens, pigs, or cattle. There is always something to do. If it isn't planting, it's watering. If it isn't watering, it's harvesting. If it isn't harvesting, something probably needs fixing. Farm life follows the seasons, not the clock, and it is hard work. You watch one farmer guiding a wooden plow pulled by two oxen. The ground is dry and heavy. Every step takes effort. By lunchtime, you're pretty sure your back would be asking for a vacation. The farmer doesn't complain. He simply keeps going, because tomorrow the field will still be waiting. Back inside Rome, another kind of worker is already busy: builders. Everywhere you look, something is being repaired, expanded, or completely rebuilt. Rome is growing all the time. Workers carry heavy blocks of stone on their shoulders. Others climb wooden scaffolding that honestly looks a little scary. A team mixes mortar while another carefully places bricks into position. Nobody is wearing a bright yellow safety helmet. Nobody has steel-toe boots. The only safety rule seems to be, try not to drop the rock. It somehow works, most of the time. These builders create homes, temples, bathhouses, roads, and even giant aqueducts that carry fresh water across long distances. Without them, Rome would not be the great city it is. Every building begins with someone's tired muscles. As you continue walking, you enter one of the city's busy markets. This is where the merchants shine. Merchants buy goods from one place and sell them somewhere else. Simple idea, very busy job. One trader sells spices brought from faraway lands. Another offers fine cloth. Someone else displays colorful pottery lined up in perfect rows. The market is full of voices. Customers ask questions. Merchants praise their products like they are the greatest things ever made. This olive oil is the finest in Italy. My fish was swimming this morning. These sandals will last for years. Whether every claim is completely true, well, let's just say salesmanship is not a modern invention. Coins change hands all around you. Deals are made. Arguments happen. Then 5 minutes later, everyone is smiling again. Business goes on. Not far from the market, you find the craftsmen. These are skilled workers who make things by hand. A potter spins wet clay on a wheel. Slowly, a simple lump becomes a beautiful bowl. Next door, a carpenter cuts smooth wooden boards for furniture. Across the street, a leather worker shapes sandals and belts. A jeweler carefully places tiny gemstones into gold rings. Everything takes patience. Everything takes practice. There are no giant factories making thousands of identical products. Every item passes through someone's hands. If you want a table, someone builds it. If you want a cup, someone shapes it. If you want new sandals, someone spends hours stitching the leather together. It makes you appreciate everyday objects a little more. Then you arrive near one of Rome's government buildings. Not everyone works with tools. Some Romans work with paperwork. Well, not paper exactly. Mostly wax tablets and scrolls. Government workers keep records, they collect taxes, write official letters, organize supplies, help judges, manage public buildings. Rome is a huge empire. Running it takes more than soldiers. It also takes people who can count, write, and stay organized. Inside the building, scribes carefully scratch words onto wax tablets using pointed metal tools. One mistake means smoothing the wax flat and starting again. No backspace key. No spell check. No copy and paste. Suddenly, your old-school homework doesn't seem quite so bad. As the day continues, you begin noticing another group of workers everywhere. Slaves. In ancient Rome, slavery is part of daily life. It is a harsh reality. Some slaves work inside wealthy homes, cooking meals, cleaning rooms, caring for children, or helping their owners with daily tasks. Others work in shops, farms, mines, or large construction projects. Some are teachers because they are well educated. Others are doctors. Some manage businesses for their owners. Their experiences are very different from one another. A few are treated reasonably well. Many are not. Unlike free workers, slaves do not choose where they work. They do not receive normal wages for their labor. They are considered property under Roman law. It is one of the darkest parts of Roman society. Without slave labor, many parts of the Roman economy would have looked very different. As you walk through the city, it becomes clear that every job follows a routine. The baker wakes before sunrise. The farmer starts before the heat arrives. The merchant opens the shop early to catch customers. The blacksmith keeps the fire burning all day. Builders work until the light begins to fade. Families know exactly what needs to be done. Children often help their parents. Skills pass from one generation to the next. If your father is a potter, there is a good chance you will learn pottery too. If your family farms wheat, you probably know how to plant it before you can even read. Life has a rhythm: wake up, work, eat, work some more, return home, sleep, then repeat it all tomorrow. There are holidays and festivals, of course. Romans know how to celebrate, but most days are built around work. Because work keeps food on the table, it keeps buildings standing. It keeps markets full. It keeps Rome alive. You stop near a busy crossroads and watch people passing by. A farmer drives a wagon loaded with vegetables. A merchant counts today's earnings with a satisfied smile. A builder wipes dust from his face before lifting another stone. A government clerk carefully rolls up an important document. A craftsman proudly places a finished bowl on a shelf. A tired slave carries heavy baskets without stopping. Every one of them is part of something much bigger. Together, they keep one of history's greatest cities running. Rome may have famous emperors and legendary generals, but the city does not wake up each morning because of them. It wakes up because millions of ordinary people go to work. And as the sun climbs higher into the bright Roman sky, you realize your own day is far from over. Because after hours of work, every Roman starts looking forward to something everyone enjoys: a break. And the perfect place to take one is waiting just around the corner. After watching Romans work all morning, you follow the growing crowd toward one of the busiest places in the city: the market. If Rome has a heartbeat, this is probably it. The closer you get, the louder everything becomes. People are talking over one another. Merchants are calling out today's best deals. Donkeys slowly squeeze through the crowd with baskets hanging from both sides. Children weave between adults like tiny professional obstacle racers. Somehow, nobody crashes into anyone. Well, almost nobody. The moment you step inside, your eyes don't know where to look first. Every stall is packed with something different. Colors are everywhere. Smells are everywhere. And yes, some of those smells are much better than others. The first thing you notice is the fresh food. Tables overflow with vegetables picked only hours earlier. There are onions, beans, cabbages, lettuce, carrots, bundles of fresh herbs. Farmers proudly arrange everything in neat piles, hoping their stand looks better than the one next door. Competition is serious. After all, if two stalls sell the same onions, the prettier onions usually win. Not far away, baskets are filled with fruit. Bright red apples catch the sunlight. Purple grapes hang in thick bunches. Fresh figs sit in woven baskets. Pears, plums, and dates wait beside them. Depending on the season, some fruits are easier to find than others. Romans eat what nature provides at that time of year. There are no giant refrigerators keeping strawberries fresh in the middle of winter. If something is out of season, you simply wait. Patience is part of the menu. You pick up a ripe fig. It feels soft in your hand. One bite is enough to understand why Romans loved them. Sweet, juicy, simple. Nature really knew what it was doing. Then your nose notices something else. Fish. Lots of fish. You follow the smell until you reach the seafood sellers. The display is impressive. Fresh fish lie on beds of seaweed, large tuna, small sardines, eels twisting gently in shallow tubs, shellfish piled into baskets. Some fishermen arrived before sunrise after working all night on the sea. Others brought their catch from nearby rivers. Without refrigerators, fish must be sold quickly. Very quickly. That explains why every fish seller keeps loudly reminding everyone just how fresh today's catch is. This one was swimming at sunrise. This is the best fish in Rome. My neighbor wishes his fish looked this good. Whether that's true or not, only the fish know. You quietly decide not to ask them. As you move farther through the market, another wonderful smell fills the air. Warm spices. Tiny bowls hold colorful powders collected from places many Romans will never visit. Black pepper, cinnamon, cumin, coriander, saffron. The air feels rich with their scent. These spices travel thousands of kilometers before reaching Rome. Some come from India. Others arrive from Arabia or lands even farther east. Merchants carry them by ship, camel, and wagon across dangerous roads and rough seas. By the time they reach this market, they are valuable, very valuable. A small pouch of pepper can cost far more than you might expect. For wealthy Romans, spices are a sign of luxury. Adding exotic flavors to dinner is also a way of showing guests just how successful you are. It's the ancient version of saying, yes, life is going pretty well. Nearby, another merchant displays goods from all across the empire. Glass cups from Egypt sparkle in the sunlight. Beautiful pottery from Greece sits beside painted bowls. Soft silk from China is carefully unfolded for rich customers. Ivory carvings from Africa rest inside wooden boxes. Wine from Spain fills clay jars lined against the wall. Olive oil from different regions waits in large storage containers. Walking through the market feels almost like traveling across the ancient world without ever leaving Rome. The empire is huge, and its markets prove it. Ships arrive every day carrying goods from distant ports. Roads built by Roman engineers connect cities across Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia. Everything eventually seems to find its way here. You begin to understand why Rome became one of the richest cities in history. Goods never stop flowing. Neither do people. Of course, all this shopping comes with one important question. How much does it cost? The answer depends on who you are. Basic food like bread is fairly affordable for many families. Fresh vegetables are common. Olives and cheese are everyday foods, but imported goods, that's a different story. Fine silk costs a fortune. Rare spices are expensive. Beautiful jewelry can cost more than an ordinary worker earns in many months. Rich Romans can buy almost anything. Poor families spend most of their money simply trying to eat. The gap between rich and poor is impossible to miss. You stop near a fruit seller just as a customer asks for the price of some grapes. The merchant names a number. The customer immediately shakes his head. Too expensive. The bargaining begins. The customer offers less. The merchant acts deeply offended. The customer starts walking away. The merchant suddenly changes his mind. The price drops. The customer smiles. A deal is made. Neither person seems surprised. This happens over and over again. Shopping in Rome is almost a performance. Everyone expects a little negotiation. If you pay the first price too quickly, the merchant might secretly think, I probably could have charged more. As you wander deeper into the market, you notice something interesting. People aren't only buying things, they're talking. Neighbors stop to catch up. Friends exchange news. Travelers share stories from distant places. Someone discusses politics. Another complains about taxes. A group laughs over a joke you sadly don't understand. Markets are more than shopping centers. They are social centers. If you want to know what's happening in Rome, this is one of the best places to be. News spreads faster than any newspaper, sometimes faster than the truth. You also notice workers carrying large scales. Many goods are sold by weight. The merchant carefully places metal weights onto one side. The food goes onto the other. Everyone watches closely. Nobody wants to pay for air. Honest merchants earn loyal customers. Dishonest ones earn angry crowds. As the sun climbs higher, the market becomes even busier. Voices blend into one giant roar. Coins clink together. Animals make their own opinions known. Carts rumble over stone streets. The smell of bread mixes with spices, fruit, fish, smoke, leather, and hundreds of busy people. It is loud, it is crowded, it is a little messy, and somehow, it all works. You pause for a moment and simply watch. A fisherman proudly sells his final catch of the morning. A spice merchant carefully ties another tiny pouch. A child helps carry vegetables for his mother. A wealthy woman examines imported silk. A farmer counts today's coins with a smile that says the early morning work was worth it. This market feeds the city. It connects people from every corner of the empire. It turns distant lands into everyday life. And for a little while, standing in the middle of it all, you almost forget you're visiting the ancient world. Because buying food, looking for bargains, meeting friends, complaining about prices, some things never really change. With your walk through the market complete, your feet are getting tired. The afternoon sun is growing warmer. Luckily, Romans know exactly where to go after a long morning. Not home, not to bed, but to one of the greatest inventions of the ancient world, the public baths. After spending the day walking through crowded streets and busy markets, it feels good to step away from all the noise. Now it is time to see where Romans actually live. And just like today, Your home depends a lot on how much money you have. Some Romans live in beautiful houses with gardens, fountains, and colorful walls. Others live several floors up in tiny apartments that make modern studio flats look roomy. So let's knock on a few doors. Don't worry, we'll imagine we were invited. Your first stop is the home of a wealthy Roman family. From the outside, it actually looks a little plain. There are no giant glass windows, no huge front yard, no colorful mailbox waiting by the street. The outside walls are simple and built for privacy. Most of the beauty is hidden inside. The front door opens, and suddenly everything changes. You step into a large open room called the atrium. Right above your head is an opening in the roof. Sunlight pours into the house, making the room bright even during the day. Rainwater falls through the opening into a shallow pool below. That water can then be collected and used around the house. Pretty smart, honestly. No fancy plumbing needed. The floor is covered with beautiful mosaics made from thousands of tiny colored stones. Some show animals. Others tell stories from Roman myths. A few are so detailed that you almost forget they are made from little pieces of rock. The walls are painted with bright reds, yellows, and blues. Some paintings create the illusion of windows looking out over peaceful gardens. Others show mountains, temples, or famous heroes. It is a clever way of making rooms feel even bigger. Around the atrium are several smaller rooms. Family members sleep here. Guests are welcomed here. Business meetings often happen here too. For wealthy Romans, the home is not only a place to relax. It is also a place to impress visitors. The message is clear. Look how successful I am. And yes, the fancy floor definitely helps. As you walk farther inside, you discover a peaceful garden. Trees provide shade. Flowers bloom along the paths. A small fountain gently bubbles in the center. Birds sing while sunlight filters through the leaves. After the noisy streets outside, this feels almost magical. You could honestly spend the whole afternoon here. Nearby stands the dining room. Romans often eat while lying on couches around a low table. At first, it looks comfortable. Then you imagine trying to eat soup while lying sideways. Maybe that takes practice. You quietly decide a chair might still win this contest. Speaking of chairs, Roman furniture is actually quite simple. You find wooden chairs, small stools, tables, beds, storage chests. Some wealthy families own beautifully carved furniture with ivory decorations or bronze details. Most pieces are built to last rather than to show off. Comfort is important, but not quite as important as style. Now let's visit the kitchen. If you expected a modern kitchen filled with shiny machines, you're in for a surprise. The room is fairly small. Cooking happens over an open fire or a simple stove built from brick or stone. Pots hang from hooks. Clay jars store grain, oil, and wine. There is no refrigerator, no microwave, no electric kettle. If leftovers exist, they are eaten quickly before they spoil. The cook stays busy preparing fresh meals every day. The smell of baking bread and roasting. The sun is beginning to sink lower in the sky. You have walked through busy markets, explored Roman homes, and watched people work from sunrise until afternoon. Your feet are tired. Your clothes feel dusty, and honestly, a bath sounds amazing. Luckily, Romans agree. Instead of rushing home after work, thousands of people head toward one of the most popular places in the entire city, the public baths. If you think these are just places to wash yourself, you're in for a surprise. Roman baths are part spa, part gym, part community center and part neighborhood hangout. They are one of the greatest inventions of ancient Rome. As you follow the crowd, a huge building comes into view. Tall stone walls rise above the street. Beautiful columns stand at the entrance. People of every age walk through the doors. Rich citizens, workers, merchants, soldiers, children, old men chatting with friends. Almost everyone comes here. The entrance fee is usually very small, so even many ordinary Romans can afford to visit. For some people, it is the best part of the day. You step inside. Immediately, the noisy streets disappear behind thick stone walls. The building feels cool and peaceful. Sunlight shines through high windows. Voices echo gently across the halls. People greet friends with smiles. Others are already laughing about something that happened at work. This is not a silent place. It is full of life. Before entering the bathing rooms, visitors leave their clothes in a changing room. There are shelves and benches along the walls. Some wealthy Romans even bring servants to watch over their belongings. Because yes, even 2,000 years ago, people worried about someone walking away with their sandals. Once you're ready, it's time to begin the famous Roman bathing routine. But don't jump into the water just yet. Romans usually start with exercise. Outside or in a large open courtyard, people stretch, run, wrestle, or throw balls back and forth. Some lift heavy stone weights. Others practice boxing. A few simply walk around while chatting with friends. The goal is to work up a little sweat before bathing. Looking around, you notice one man proudly showing off his muscles. Another misses an easy catch and almost drops the ball on his own foot. Good to know embarrassing sports moments are timeless. After exercising, it's finally time to enter the baths. The first stop is often the warm room. The air feels comfortable, not too hot, not too cold. This room helps your body slowly adjust before entering the hotter areas. You take a deep breath. The warmth feels relaxing after a long day. People sit on stone benches talking quietly. Some simply close their eyes for a few peaceful moments. Nobody seems to be in a hurry. Romans know how to relax. From there, you move into the hottest room. The moment the door opens, warm air rushes toward your face. It feels almost like stepping into a giant sauna. Steam rises around the room. The floor beneath your feet feels warm. That is thanks to one of Rome's clever inventions. Underneath the floor, hot air flows through empty spaces created by the hypocaust heating system. The furnace below keeps the room hot for everyone above. Pretty impressive engineering. Especially considering nobody has electricity. People sit quietly as sweat forms across their skin. The heat opens their pores and helps loosen dirt. After a while, your whole body feels lighter. And maybe just a little sleepy. But the experience isn't over yet. Instead of using soap the way many people do today, Romans often clean themselves with olive oil. A small amount of oil is rubbed onto the skin. Then comes one of the strangest tools you've ever seen, a strigil. It is a curved metal scraper. People gently scrape the oil, sweat, and dirt from their skin. It sounds odd, it looks odd, but it works surprisingly well. Watching someone carefully scrape away a day's worth of dust makes you appreciate just how different history can be. After cleaning up, many visitors enjoy a massage. Professional attendants work sore muscles with skilled hands. Builders, farmers, soldiers, merchants. Everyone enjoys relaxing after a hard day's work. Some massages include scented oils that leave the skin feeling soft. Others focus on easing tired muscles. you seriously begin wondering why modern Mondays don't include free Roman massages. Eventually comes the most exciting part, the cold pool. After sitting in hot rooms for so long people jump or slowly step into cool water, the feeling is refreshing, shocking, wonderful. All at the same time. Your body instantly wakes up. You gasp for a second, then you start smiling. Many Romans believe moving between hot and cold water helps keep the body healthy. Whether or not they understand the science, they definitely enjoy the experience. Around the pools, conversations never stop. Friends discuss politics. Merchants talk about business. Neighbors exchange local gossip. Someone tells a funny story. Another laughs so hard that people nearby start laughing too, even without knowing the joke. The baths are one of the best places to meet people. If you want to hear the latest news in Rome, this is a good place to listen. Deals are made here. Friendships grow here. Arguments sometimes happen here too, then everyone cools off. Literally. Some bath complexes are enormous. They include beautiful gardens, libraries filled with scrolls, shops selling snacks, walking paths, even small spaces where musicians perform. People can spend several hours here without getting bored. It feels less like a bathroom and more like a giant recreation center. As you explore, you notice the incredible decorations. Marble floors shine under the light. Tall columns support painted ceilings. Statues of gods and heroes stand proudly in the corners. Colorful mosaics cover walls and floors with pictures of dolphins, sea creatures, and mythical stories. The baths are built to impress. Rome wants visitors to know just how advanced the empire has become. Of course, not every Roman bath is perfect. Large crowds mean plenty of splashing. The water is shared by many people. Cleanliness is better than many people imagine, but it is certainly not modern hygiene. Even so, regular bathing is an important part of Roman life. Many Romans visit several times each week. Some come almost every day. Compared with many other ancient civilizations, Romans place a strong value on washing, grooming, and staying presentable. As the evening grows darker, people slowly begin leaving the baths. Fresh clothes replace dusty work tunics. Faces look more relaxed. Tired muscles feel lighter. The stress of the day seems to fade away. You step back outside into the cooling evening air. The city sounds different now. The busy shouting of the market has quieted. Oil lamps glow behind windows. Families begin preparing dinner. The smell of cooking drifts through the streets once again. You take one last look at the grand bathhouse behind you. It wasn't just a place to get clean. It was where Rome came together, where workers rested, where neighbors laughed, where strangers became friends, and where one long day in the greatest city of the ancient world ended feeling just a little more comfortable. Because tomorrow, the streets will wake again. The ovens will fill with fresh bread. The markets will open. The builders will lift their stones, and Rome will begin another unforgettable day. The sky is turning orange. The busy markets are beginning to quiet down. Shopkeepers close their wooden shutters. Builders put away their tools. Merchants count the last few coins they earned today. The smell of fresh bread is slowly replaced by something even better. Dinner. If breakfast was quick and simple, dinner is a completely different story. For most Romans, this is the biggest meal of the day. It is the time to relax, share stories, and finally enjoy the reward for a long day of work. As you follow your Roman family home, you notice delicious smells drifting through the streets. Someone is roasting meat. Another family is baking bread. A pot of vegetable stew bubbles over a fire. Garlic, herbs, and olive oil fill the evening air. Your stomach immediately reminds you that breakfast was many hours ago. Dinner cannot come soon enough. Inside the house, preparations are already underway. The table is being arranged. Clay bowls are stacked neatly. Small cups are ready for watered wine. Fresh bread sits in the middle, still warm from the oven. Even before the meal begins, everyone gathers to talk about the day. Someone tells a funny story from the market. Another complains about a stubborn donkey that refused to move. A child excitedly explains how they won a game with friends. The adults smile. Family time matters just as much as the food. For many Romans, dinner is not rushed. There is no clock telling everyone to finish in 15 minutes. People take their time. They eat. They laugh. They talk. After a busy day, this is one of the few chances everyone has to slow down. The first food arrives. Of course, bread. Roman meals almost always include it. Alongside it are olives, cheese, eggs, and small bowls of vegetables. Some families enjoy beans or lentils cooked into a thick stew. Others serve cabbage, onions, or carrots seasoned with herbs. Simple food, but filling. For most ordinary Romans, this is a normal dinner. It may not sound fancy, but it provides enough energy for another hard day tomorrow. Sometimes fish appears on the table. Sometimes a little pork or chicken. Meat is enjoyed, but not every family can afford to eat it often. If a poor family has meat, it is usually for a special occasion or a festival. Vegetables, grains, and bread remain the everyday heroes of Roman cooking. Now, let's visit the home of a wealthy Roman. The difference is impossible to miss. The dining room is beautifully decorated. Oil lamps glow against colorful painted walls. Guests recline on soft couches around a low table instead of sitting on chairs. At first, it still looks strange. You wonder how anyone manages to eat while lying on one elbow. Apparently, practice makes perfect. Servants begin bringing out course after course. The first dishes include oysters, fresh seafood, eggs, cheeses, and salads. Then comes roasted chicken, tender lamb, wild boar, duck, sometimes even exotic foods brought from far across the empire. The richer the family, the more impressive the menu becomes. Hosting a dinner party is not only about feeding people, it is also about showing wealth and good taste. The host wants guests to leave thinking, "That was an incredible meal." Or maybe, "I have never seen so much food in my life." Some wealthy Romans even enjoy foods that sound unusual today. Dormice, yes, tiny little dormice, sometimes stuffed with herbs and spices. You politely decide that bread suddenly seems like a very safe choice. Another famous Roman ingredient appears during dinner, garum. This is a salty fish sauce made by fermenting fish. Romans absolutely love it. They pour it over vegetables, meat, fish. Even some desserts, its smell is, let's call it memorable. If someone opened a bottle near you today, your nose might file an official complaint. But to Romans, garum is delicious. It is as common as ketchup or soy sauce is in many kitchens today. As dinner continues, servants keep bringing fresh dishes to the table. Fruit arrives, fresh grapes, sweet figs, dates, apples, pears. Everything depends on the season. Nature still decides the menu, not a supermarket. After the fruit comes dessert. Roman desserts are usually simple. Honey is the star. Without refined white sugar, honey provides most of the sweetness. Cakes made from wheat and cheese are drizzled with honey. Fresh fruit is served with nuts. Sometimes pastries are filled with dates or covered with sesame seeds. The desserts are not overloaded with frosting or chocolate, but after a long meal, they taste wonderful. You happily reach for another honey cake. Nobody seems to judge you. Excellent. As you look around the table, you begin noticing Roman table manners. People mostly eat with their fingers. Knives are used for cutting. Spoons are common. Forks, however, are not part of everyday dining yet. So yes, you are expected to pick up your food with your hands. Thankfully, servants often provide bowls of water for washing fingers during the meal. That is very thoughtful, especially after eating sticky honey desserts. Good manners matter. Guests are expected to behave politely. Nobody grabs food before everyone else. Nobody shouts across the table. The host is treated with respect. Conversations are lively but friendly. A good dinner is about more than eating. It is about enjoying the company around you. Of course, not every dinner is peaceful. Children sometimes spill things. Someone laughs too hard and nearly drops a cup. A guest tells a story that lasts a little longer than everyone expected. Some things never change. As the meal stretches into the evening, musicians may perform for wealthy guests. A flute plays softly. Someone sings. Poets sometimes read their latest work aloud. Whether everyone actually enjoys the poetry, well, that probably depends on the poet. Outside, darkness slowly covers the city. Oil lamps flicker through nearby windows. The streets become quieter. Only the occasional footsteps or distant voices drift through the night. Inside the home, dinner finally comes to an end. Guests thank the host. Servants begin clearing the table. Children grow sleepy after a full meal. Adults continue chatting for a little while longer. You lean back and think about everything you have eaten today. Simple bread at sunrise, fresh fruit from the market, the wonderful smells of busy kitchens, a relaxing evening meal shared with family and friends. Roman food may not always match modern tastes. Some recipes would probably surprise you. Others would fit perfectly on a dinner table today. What matters most is not only what people eat, it is who they eat with. Meals bring families together. They celebrate friendships. They welcome visitors. They mark special occasions. Food fills more than empty stomachs. It fills homes with conversation, laughter, and memories. As the last lamp burns quietly beside the doorway, you realize your first full day in ancient Rome is almost over. But before sleep comes, there is still one final thing waiting for you. The city after dark, and Rome at night has a personality all its own. The day may be coming to an end, but Rome is not ready to call it a night just yet. After working hard, Romans know something very important. People need fun, and they have plenty of ways to find it. From giant stadiums packed with cheering crowds to quiet street corners where storytellers gather curious listeners, entertainment is everywhere. So, come along. Tonight, you're going to see how Romans enjoy themselves. Your first stop is the theater. As you walk toward the large stone building, you hear laughter before you even reach the entrance. People are already filling the seats. Families arrive together. Friends wave to each other across the rows. Street sellers walk around offering snacks and drinks. It almost feels like going to the movies, except there is one tiny difference. The actors are standing right in front of you. The stage is large and open. Behind it rises a beautiful wall decorated with tall columns and colorful statues. Even without microphones, actors must make sure everyone can hear them. So they speak loudly, very loudly. Every movement is big. Every expression is dramatic. If someone is pretending to be surprised, the people sitting in the last row should notice too. Many plays are comedies. People love to laugh. Characters often make silly mistakes. Greedy merchants get tricked. Lazy servants somehow become heroes. Old men complain about almost everything. Honestly, some comedy never gets old. The crowd laughs again and again. Children giggle. Adults clap. Someone laughs so hard they nearly fall off the bench. Mission accomplished. Not every play is funny. Some tell serious stories about famous heroes, powerful kings, or the ancient gods. These performances are full of emotion. Love, courage, loss, victory. The audience becomes completely silent as the story unfolds. Then comes a huge round of applause. Even 2,000 years ago, a good story could hold everyone's attention. Leaving the theater, you hear another sound echoing across the city. Thousands of voices cheering all at once. You know exactly where that noise is coming from. The Circus Maximus. This enormous stadium is the home of Rome's favorite sport, chariot racing. As you enter, your eyes grow wide. The place is gigantic. Row after row of seats stretch into the distance. Tens of thousands of people fill the stadium. Some historians believe that more than 100,000 spectators could gather here during the biggest events. Imagine a football stadium. Now imagine making it even bigger. The excitement is impossible to ignore. People wear the colors of their favorite racing teams. The blues, the greens, the reds, the whites. Fans argue about which team will win. Some even place friendly bets. Apparently, sports debates are just as ancient as sports themselves. Suddenly, a trumpet sounds. The gates fly open. The horses burst forward. The race begins. 4 horses pull each chariot at incredible speed. The drivers lean forward, gripping the reins tightly. Dust rises into the air. The wheels bounce across the track. Every turn looks dangerous. The crowd roars louder with every lap. People stand, wave their arms, shout encouragement. Some are so excited they completely forget to breathe. One chariot nearly tips over around a corner. The audience gasps, but the driver somehow keeps control. The cheering becomes even louder. For Romans, this is more than a race. It is one of the greatest shows in the empire. Some drivers become famous across Rome. Children know their names. Adults proudly support their favorite teams. Winning racers can earn huge prizes and become celebrities. Not bad for someone whose office happens to be a speeding chariot. After leaving the stadium, the sounds become softer. From a nearby street comes the gentle music of a flute. You follow it until you find a small group of musicians. One plays a wooden flute. Another strums a stringed instrument called a lyre. A third taps a small drum to keep the rhythm. People stop to listen. Some quietly hum along. Others clap in time with the music. Music fills many parts of Roman life. It appears at family dinners, religious ceremonies, parades, theaters, festivals. Even soldiers march to the sound of musicians. No playlists needed, just talented performers and happy audiences. Speaking of festivals, Romans absolutely love them. Throughout the year, the calendar is filled with celebrations honoring different gods and important events. On festival days, work often slows down. Temples become busy. Markets grow even more crowded. Special foods appear. Musicians perform. Games fill the streets. The whole city seems happier. One of the most popular celebrations is Saturnalia. During this winter festival, people exchange small gifts. Homes are decorated. Friends gather together. Even social rules become a little more relaxed for a short time. The city fills with laughter and celebration. It is one of the happiest times of the year. As evening continues, you notice groups of children playing games in small squares. Some toss knucklebones, which work a little like dice. Others roll hoops along the street. A group competes in running races. Nearby, older men sit around a table playing board games. The pieces slide across carved wooden boards as everyone argues over whose move was smarter. Apparently, competitive board gaming has been around for a very long time. One player smiles proudly after making a clever move. Another groans dramatically. Someone jokingly accuses the winner of having unbelievable luck. Nothing really changes. Finally, you notice a crowd gathering around an elderly storyteller. Curious, you step closer. The old man begins speaking. Instantly, the audience grows quiet. His voice rises and falls as he tells the tale of brave heroes, clever travelers, powerful gods, and dangerous monsters. The listeners imagine every scene inside their minds. There are no movie screens, no television, no special effects, just words, and somehow, that is enough. Children stare with wide eyes. Adults smile as they remember stories they first heard years ago. Good storytelling never grows old. It travels from one generation to the next, keeping history, legends, and lessons alive. As the storyteller reaches the exciting ending, the crowd breaks into applause. Some thank him. Others drop a few coins into his small bag before walking home. The streets are becoming quieter now. Oil lamps glow beside doorways. Families slowly return home after an evening of fun. A few musicians still play soft melodies in the distance. The city finally begins to slow down. You take one last look around. Today, you explored not just the buildings of Rome, but its spirit. You laughed with theater crowds, cheered beside thousands at the chariot races, listened to music drifting through narrow streets, joined joyful festival celebrations, watched children invent games with almost nothing, and ended the evening gathered around a storyteller whose greatest tool was his imagination. Entertainment in ancient Rome is not just about passing the time. It brings people together. It creates memories. It helps them forget the hard work of the day. And as you walk beneath the stars, following the quiet streets back toward home, you realize something surprising. Even after 2,000 years, people still laugh at funny stories, still cheer for their favorite teams, still enjoy music with friends, still celebrate special days, and still gather around a good story before bed. Some things, it seems, never really change. The morning sun is shining brightly again, and today the entire city seems to be walking in the same direction. Young people, old people, merchants, soldiers, families with children. Everyone is talking about one place, the Colosseum. As you follow the crowd, the building slowly appears above the rooftops. It is enormous. The closer you get, the bigger it seems. Massive stone arches rise into the sky. Rows of seats circle the arena like a giant stone bowl. You stop for a moment just to stare. Even today, nearly 2,000 years later, the Colosseum still impresses visitors. Imagine seeing it when it was brand new. Bright white stone, colorful decorations, bronze statues. Thousands of excited Romans filling every seat. It must have looked incredible. Outside the entrance, the streets are buzzing. Street sellers are already busy. One offers warm bread. Another sells olives. Someone else carries drinks through the crowd. Friends greet each other with loud voices. Children point excitedly toward the giant building. It almost feels like people arriving for a huge sports final, except today's entertainment is very different. You walk through one of the many entrances. The design is surprisingly clever. Thousands of people can enter in a short time because there are so many gates and passageways. Instead of one crowded doorway, people spread out through the building. Roman engineers really knew what they were doing. Soon you find your seat. From here, you can see the entire arena below. The floor is covered with sand. Around it rises an endless sea of spectators. The crowd keeps growing. The sound grows louder every minute. People wave to friends across the stadium. Some discuss who might appear today. Others argue over which event will be the most exciting. The atmosphere is full of energy. You almost forget how ancient this place is. Then, suddenly, a trumpet sounds. The conversations stop. Every eye turns toward the arena. The day's events are beginning. The Colosseum hosts many different kinds of public spectacles. Some are displays of skill, some are performances. Others celebrate military victories or important festivals. These events are organized by powerful leaders, who often use them to entertain the public and celebrate the strength of Rome. For many Romans, visiting the Colosseum is a special day out. It is exciting, it is dramatic, and it gives people stories to talk about for weeks. One of the most famous attractions is the gladiator games. Gladiators are trained fighters. Many are enslaved people, prisoners of war, or criminals, though some free men volunteer, hoping to earn fame or money. Before entering the arena, they spend years training. They learn discipline, fitness, weapon skills, and how to perform before huge crowds. To Romans, gladiators are admired for their courage and determination. Some become famous across the empire. Children know their names. Fans cheer for their favorites. It is a little like supporting famous athletes today. As the gladiators enter the arena, the audience applauds. Their armor shines in the sunlight. Some carry shields and short swords. Others fight with nets and tridents. Each style is different. Each fighter has trained for a specific role. The crowd watches every movement carefully. People cheer for clever moves, impressive skill, and bravery. The excitement comes as much from the contest as from the personalities involved. You notice that everyone around you has an opinion. This one is my favorite. No, that fighter always wins. He looks stronger this year. Sports fans, it seems, have always loved making predictions. Not every event involves gladiators. Sometimes the arena is used to display wild animals brought from distant parts of the empire. Imagine seeing an elephant, a lion, or even a giraffe for the very first time. For many Romans, this is their only chance to see creatures from Africa or Asia. The audience gasps as the animals appear. Children climb onto benches for a better view. Adults point excitedly. These displays remind everyone just how large the Roman Empire has become. Goods, people, and even animals travel incredible distances to reach the city. The Colosseum becomes a place where the whole empire seems to come together. Between events, the crowd never becomes quiet. People eat snacks, talk with neighbors, laugh at jokes, wave toward friends sitting across the arena. The building feels alive. You realize that the audience is almost part of the show. Their cheers rise like thunder. Their applause echoes from the stone walls. Even one exciting moment can send a wave of excitement through tens of thousands of people at once. It must have been an unforgettable sound. As you look around, you notice that where people sit depends on their place in society. Important officials sit in the best seats close to the arena. Wealthy citizens sit nearby. Ordinary Romans fill the higher rows. Women and poorer spectators are often seated farther from the action. The seating arrangement reflects Roman society itself. Everyone is welcome to attend. But not everyone sits in the same place. Above your head stretches a huge fabric canopy called the velarium. Sailors help move it into place to provide shade from the hot sun. Without it, spending hours inside the arena would become much less comfortable. Even this giant piece of cloth is an impressive engineering achievement. Rome seems determined to solve every problem with clever ideas. As the afternoon continues, you think about what the Colosseum means. Today, many people visit it as a famous historical monument. But for ancient Romans, it is something much more. It is where families gather, where friends meet, where the city celebrates together. It is a symbol of Roman engineering, organization, and public life. At the same time, it also reminds us that history is complicated. Some forms of entertainment enjoyed in the ancient world would not match modern ideas about what is acceptable. Understanding the Colosseum means understanding both its incredible achievements and the values of the society that built it. History is not about pretending the past was perfect. It is about learning how people lived, what they believed, and how the world has changed over time. As the final event ends, the crowd slowly begins making its way toward the exits. Thousands of footsteps echo through the corridors. Outside, the streets fill once again with conversation. People excitedly replay their favorite moments. Children pretend to be brave gladiators as they walk home. Street sellers begin packing away the last of their goods. The giant amphitheater stands quietly behind you as the sun starts dropping toward the horizon. You take one last look. The Colosseum is more than stone, more than arches, more than history written in books. It is a place where the people of Rome gathered to share excitement, celebrate their city, and experience unforgettable public events together. And tomorrow, your journey through ancient Rome continues. Because beyond the grand arenas and busy markets, there are still temples to explore, traditions to discover, and everyday lives waiting to tell their stories. As the morning sun climbs over the rooftops of Rome, the city feels calm for a moment. The markets have not reached their loudest point yet. The blacksmith's hammer has only just started ringing. Even the donkeys seem a little less determined to stand in everyone's way. Today, you are going to explore something that touches almost every part of Roman life: religion. For Romans, religion is not only about visiting a temple once in a while. It is woven into everyday life. Before important meetings, before long journeys, before planting crops, before battles, even before family dinners, the gods are never far from people's thoughts. As you walk through the streets, you quickly notice something interesting. Temples are everywhere. Some are huge. Others are small. Some stand proudly in busy public squares. Others are tucked away beside quiet streets. No matter where you go, it seems there is always a place where someone is praying. You soon arrive at one of the city's grand temples. Tall white columns rise high above you. Wide stone steps lead to the entrance. The roof is decorated with colorful carvings showing scenes from Roman myths. It is beautiful, strong, peaceful. People slowly climb the steps carrying flowers, small cakes, or bowls of fruit. These are gifts for the gods. Romans believe that showing respect to the gods helps keep life in balance. Good harvests, healthy families, safe journeys, successful businesses. Many hope the gods will look kindly upon them. You quietly follow the crowd inside. The air feels cooler than outside. Sunlight slips through the entrance and falls across the polished floor. At the far end stands a large statue of the god or goddess honored by this temple. Some visitors bow their heads. Others whisper quiet prayers. A few leave small offerings before heading back into the busy city. The atmosphere is calm. Nobody is rushing. It feels like a place where people can pause for a moment before returning to everyday life. But Romans do not only worship in large temples. Religion also lives inside the home. When you visit a Roman family's house, you notice a tiny shrine built into one corner. It is small, simple, yet clearly important. This shrine honors the household gods. Many Roman families believe these protective spirits watch over the home and everyone living inside it. Every morning, someone lights a small lamp or leaves a tiny offering, perhaps a little bread, a splash of wine, a few flowers. The ritual only takes a minute, but it reminds the family to be thankful. Children grow up watching these daily traditions. Before meals, before trips, or during special family events, someone often pauses at the shrine. It becomes part of normal life, almost like saying good morning to an old friend. As you continue exploring, you notice that the Romans worship many different gods. There is a god of the sky, a goddess of wisdom, a god of war, a goddess of love, a god of the sea, a goddess of farming. Almost every part of life has a divine protector. If someone is about to sail across the sea, they might pray for calm waters. A farmer may ask for good weather before planting crops. A soldier may hope for courage before marching away. Different situations call for different prayers. Romans like to be prepared, just in case. Soon the streets begin filling with music. People are smiling. Children are laughing. Colorful decorations appear along the roads. It looks like something special is happening. A festival. Romans absolutely love festivals. Throughout the year, many days are set aside to honor different gods and celebrate important traditions. Work often slows down. Families gather together. Temples become busy with visitors. Musicians fill the streets with cheerful songs. Some festivals include large public feasts. Others have games, races, or theatrical performances. The whole city feels lighter. Even the busiest merchants seem happier. You watch one parade slowly move through the streets. Priests walk at the front wearing bright white robes. Behind them come musicians playing flutes and drums. Citizens carry flowers and decorations. People cheer as the parade passes. Children wave excitedly from the side of the road. The celebration brings everyone together. Rich, poor, young, old. For one day the city shares the same joyful mood. As you follow the parade, you finally meet some of Rome's priests. Unlike modern priests in many religions, Roman priests have many different responsibilities. They organize ceremonies, take care of temples, lead public prayers, watch over religious festivals. Some also advise government leaders during important events. Religion and public life are closely connected. Being chosen as a priest is considered an honor. People respect the role because they believe it helps keep good relationships between Rome and the gods. One priest carefully prepares an offering at the temple. Everything is done with great attention. The words must be spoken correctly. The ceremony must follow tradition. Romans believe that careful rituals show proper respect. No shortcuts allowed. As the afternoon continues, you hear people talking about signs and luck. One merchant refuses to begin an important journey because he believes today is unlucky. Another smiles after spotting a bird flying overhead. Apparently, that is a good sign. Superstitions are everywhere. Many Romans believe the gods sometimes send messages through nature. The flight of birds, strange weather, unusual dreams, even unexpected events can be seen as important signs. Some people ask special religious experts to help explain these messages. Others simply trust their own feelings. Would modern science agree? Probably not. But for Romans, these beliefs are a normal part of everyday life. You begin noticing tiny rituals happening all around you. A traveler quietly whispers a prayer before leaving the city. A shopkeeper touches a small charm hanging near the doorway before opening for business. A mother thanks the household gods after her child recovers from a fever. These moments are small. Most people barely notice them. Yet together, they show how deeply religion is woven into Roman life. It is not something kept only inside temples. It walks beside people every single day. As the sun begins to set, families slowly return home. Once again, a small lamp is lit at the household shrine. A little offering is placed before the family gods. The day's work is finished. Everyone quietly gives thanks for another safe day. Standing there, you realize something important. Religion in ancient Rome is not only about grand temples or colorful festivals. It is also about ordinary moments. A simple prayer before breakfast, a flower left at a shrine, a family gathering around a tiny household altar, a hopeful wish before beginning something difficult. These quiet traditions help people feel connected to something greater than themselves. As darkness slowly covers the rooftops, the temple columns glow softly in the fading light. The streets become peaceful again. Tomorrow, Rome will wake before sunrise. The bakers will light their ovens. The merchants will open their shops. The builders will return to their work. And through it all, the gods will remain part of everyday life, just as they have for generations. Because in ancient Rome, faith is not only found inside temples. It lives in homes, streets, festivals, and the hearts of the people themselves. The first rays of sunlight have barely touched the rooftops of Rome when you hear a sound in the distance. Clang, clang, clang. It is not the blacksmith this time. It is the sound of soldiers beginning another day. The Roman army is one of the most famous fighting forces in history. Its soldiers help protect roads, guard cities, and defend the huge Roman Empire. But today, you are not going to see a battle. Instead, you are going to see what an ordinary day looks like for a Roman soldier. And you may be surprised by how much of that day has nothing to do with fighting. As you walk toward a military camp outside the city, you notice everything looks neat and organized. The tents stand in straight lines. The paths between them are clean. Weapons are stored carefully. Even the camp itself looks like someone measured every corner with a ruler. Romans love good planning. The camp feels less like a collection of tents and more like a small town. At sunrise, a horn echoes through the camp. Instantly, soldiers begin moving. No one presses a snooze button. No one asks for 5 more minutes. The day has started. Some soldiers roll up their blankets. Others prepare their gear. Everyone knows exactly what they are supposed to do. That is because discipline is one of the most important parts of Roman military life. A Roman army does not succeed simply because its soldiers are brave. It succeeds because everyone follows orders, works together, and practices the same routines every single day. Soon, training begins. The soldiers line up in neat rows. An officer walks past, checking their equipment. Everything must be ready. Everything must be clean. A loose strap or a damaged shield is fixed before training continues. Details matter very much. The first exercise is marching. It sounds simple, walk together. But Roman soldiers do far more than take a casual stroll. They march for long distances carrying heavy equipment, armor, shield, helmet, weapons, food, tools. Sometimes the total weight is around 30 kilograms or even more. After watching them for a few minutes, your shoulders begin to hurt just thinking about it. The soldiers keep moving, step after step. Their boots strike the ground at almost exactly the same moment. Thousands of feet become one steady rhythm. It is impressive to watch. After marching comes weapons practice. One group trains with wooden swords. These practice weapons are often heavier than real ones. The idea is simple. If you can train with something heavier, the real sword feels lighter during actual combat. Pretty clever. Nearby, another group practices with large wooden shields. They move together as one unit. Shield up, step forward, shield down, step back, again, and again, and again. The movements become almost automatic. A Roman soldier must trust the person standing beside him. Working together is far more important than showing off. Nobody is trying to become the hero of the day. The strongest army is the one that stays together. As training continues, you finally get a closer look at a soldier's equipment. The helmet is made from strong metal. It protects the head while still allowing the soldier to see and hear clearly. The large rectangular shield covers much of the body. It is heavy, but it offers excellent protection. Each soldier also carries a short sword. Unlike the long swords often seen in movies, Roman swords are designed for close fighting. Many soldiers also carry one or two throwing spears. These are meant to be thrown before moving closer to the enemy. Every piece of equipment has a purpose. Nothing is carried just for decoration. Even the famous red cloak, often shown in artwork, is practical. It helps keep soldiers warm during cold nights and can also be used as a blanket when needed. One item, two jobs. Romans would definitely approve of that efficiency. As the morning passes, the soldiers take a short break. Some sit together eating bread, cheese, olives, and dried fruit. Others repair sandals or sharpen tools. There is plenty of conversation. Friends joke with one another. Someone tells a funny story about getting lost during a march. Another proudly claims he can eat more bread than anyone else. Nobody seems eager to challenge him, probably a wise decision. The afternoon brings another important job. Building. Yes, building. Roman soldiers are not only fighters, they are also skilled workers. When the army travels, the soldiers often build a new camp before resting. They dig ditches, raise wooden walls, set up tents, organize roads inside the camp. Everything has its place. Even after marching all day, the camp must be ready before anyone sleeps. It is hard work, but it keeps the army safe. Some soldiers also help build roads and bridges across the empire. Many of the famous Roman roads exist because soldiers helped construct them. These roads allow people, supplies, and messages to travel much faster. The army helps connect the empire in more ways than one. Still, life as a soldier is not always easy. Many spend years away from home. Some travel farther than they ever imagined. One year they may be guarding a fort near snowy mountains. The next, they could be stationed beside a hot desert. The Roman Empire stretches across 3 continents. Soldiers go wherever they are needed. That means birthdays are missed. Family dinners happen without them. Children grow older while fathers are far away. Letters become precious. Whenever news from home arrives, soldiers gather eagerly to listen. For a little while, the camp feels less lonely. As evening approaches, the day's training finally ends. Weapons are cleaned carefully. Armor is checked once more. Guards take their positions around the camp. Others prepare the evening meal. The smell of cooking slowly spreads through the air. Some soldiers quietly talk around the fire. Others simply stare into the glowing flames, thinking about home. You sit nearby and look around. The camp is peaceful now. The busy training grounds are silent. Only the crackling fire and the distant sounds of nature remain. It is easy to imagine how many thousands of Roman soldiers spent evenings just like this, tired after a long day, missing their families, sharing stories with friends, preparing to wake before sunrise and do it all again. As you leave the camp, you realize something important. The Roman army is not built only on swords and shields. It is built on routine. Discipline, teamwork, planning, hard work. Every soldier plays a part. Every camp follows the same system. Every road, bridge, and fort helps hold together one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. Tomorrow, your journey through ancient Rome will continue once again. But tonight, as the campfires glow beneath the stars, you leave with a new respect for the ordinary soldiers whose daily lives helped shape history. The sun rises over Rome once again. The bakers are already pulling fresh bread from their ovens. Merchants are opening their shops. Farmers are heading toward the fields. Soldiers are beginning another day of training. But today, you are not following the adults. Today, you are joining the children. At first, it seems like they have the easiest life in the city. No businesses to run, no roads to build, no taxes to pay. Sounds pretty nice. Then you remember one important thing: school, and suddenly life doesn't seem quite so easy anymore. As you walk through a quiet street, you see small groups of children hurrying along. Some carry little bags filled with writing tools. Others walk beside older brothers or sisters. Parents remind them to behave well and listen carefully. That advice has survived for thousands of years. Eventually, you arrive at a simple classroom. Don't expect a huge school building with colorful lockers and a playground. Roman schools are much smaller. Some lessons happen inside a rented room. Others take place under a covered walkway or even in an open courtyard. The classroom is simple: a few benches, some stools, a chair for the teacher, no smart boards, no projectors, no air conditioning, only the sounds of children trying very hard to remember their lessons. The teacher welcomes everyone. Well, welcomes might be a generous word. Roman teachers have a reputation for being strict, very strict. Students are expected to listen carefully, stay quiet, and work hard. Daydreaming out the window is probably not a great idea. The first lesson is reading. Children slowly sound out letters and words. Many lessons involve repeating the same lines over and over. The classroom soon fills with dozens of voices reading together. It sounds a little like a flock of determined parrots. Learning to read is an important skill. Books are rare and expensive. Most are written by hand on long rolls of papyrus called scrolls. Because every copy takes so much time to make, books are treated with great care. Being able to read opens the door to history, poetry, law, and government. Not every Roman child learns to read. Children from wealthy families are much more likely to attend school. Poorer children often spend their days helping their parents instead. A farmer's son may already be working in the fields. A potter's daughter may be helping shape clay. Many children begin learning family jobs while they are still young. School is a privilege, not something everyone receives. Now it is time for writing practice. Instead of notebooks, students use wax tablets. These are flat wooden boards filled with smooth wax. Each child holds a pointed metal or bone tool called a stylus. The sharp end is used to write letters into the wax. If someone makes a mistake, there is no need to throw away the page. They simply turn the stylus around and smooth the wax flat. Instantly, the page is ready to use again. It is basically the ancient world's version of an erase button. Pretty clever. You carefully try writing your own name. The first letter looks good. The second, not so much. You quickly smooth the wax and pretend nobody noticed. Luckily, the Romans invented second chances too. The teacher walks between the students, checking everyone's work. Some children smile proudly. Others quietly hope their mistakes stay hidden. The teacher notices almost everything. Nothing escapes those watchful eyes. After writing comes mathematics. Students count using small stones or an abacus. Addition, subtraction, multiplication. Numbers are important. Merchants need them. Builders need them. Government workers need them. Even running a household becomes easier with good math skills. One student answers a difficult question correctly. The teacher gives a small nod of approval. That tiny smile probably feels like winning a gold medal. Lessons continue through much of the day with short breaks in between. Children stretch their legs, drink some water, talk quietly with friends. Then it is back to work. Roman schools believe that practice leads to success. Sometimes that means repeating the same lesson many times. Patience is part of learning. When school finally ends, the mood changes almost instantly. Books and wax tablets are packed away. Children race outside. Now it is time for games. Just because life is ancient doesn't mean children stop being children. One group rolls wooden hoops through the streets using long sticks. Another tosses knucklebones in a game that tests both skill and luck. Several boys pretend to be brave Roman soldiers, marching proudly with wooden swords. One loudly declares himself the greatest general in all of Rome. 5 minutes later, he trips over a rock. His army survives, his pride, maybe not. Nearby, girls play with dolls made from cloth, wood, or clay. Some dolls even have tiny movable arms and legs. Others create pretend houses using small stones and sticks. Their imaginations do the rest. You realize something comforting. The toys may look different, but the laughter sounds exactly the same as it does today. As the afternoon continues, many children head home to help their families. Some carry water from public fountains. Others help prepare dinner. A few assist parents in shops or workshops. Learning doesn't stop when school ends. Parents teach practical skills every day: how to bake bread, care for animals, repair clothing, run a business. These lessons are just as important as reading and writing. Family plays a huge role in Roman life. Parents expect children to respect their elders. obey household rules, and contribute whenever they can. Older brothers and sisters often help care for younger children. Grandparents may share stories from long ago. Dinner becomes a time when everyone gathers to talk about the day's successes and challenges. Children listen as adults discuss work, news, and family matters. Little by little, they learn how to become responsible adults. Of course, expectations depend on the family. Boys from wealthy homes may prepare for careers in politics, law, or the army. Girls often learn the skills needed to manage a household, though some also receive a strong education. Poor families usually focus on practical work from an early age. Every child grows up with different opportunities, but almost all are expected to work hard and honor their family. As the evening sky turns golden, you watch children finish one last game before heading home. The streets slowly grow quieter. Parents call everyone inside. Oil lamps begin glowing in windows across the city. Tomorrow morning, the children will wake early once again. Some will return to school with their wax tablets. Others will help in fields, shops, or workshops. All of them are preparing for the future in their own way. Standing there, you realize childhood in ancient Rome is not so different from childhood today. There are lessons to learn, games to play, parents to make proud, friends to laugh with, dreams to chase, and the occasional homework assignment nobody is excited about. Some things, it seems, have always been part of growing up. As darkness settles over Rome, you smile, knowing that another ordinary day has quietly become another unforgettable chapter in your journey through the ancient world. The sun slowly slips behind the hills surrounding Rome. Golden light stretches across the rooftops one last time before fading into soft shades of orange and purple. The busy city that has been full of shouting merchants, hammering blacksmiths, laughing children, and rumbling carts finally begins to slow down. Not stop, just slow down. After spending an entire day exploring ancient Rome, your feet are tired, your stomach is full, and honestly, a nice place to sit sounds like the greatest invention in history. As evening settles in, families begin returning home. Builders brush dust from their clothes. Merchants lock the wooden shutters on their shops. Farmers lead tired animals into their shelters. Soldiers finish their evening meal inside the camp. One by one, the sounds of work begin to disappear. In their place comes another kind of sound, the quieter sound of home. Inside Roman houses, tiny oil lamps begin glowing one after another. There are no light switches, no electric bulbs waiting to brighten the room. Instead, each lamp is filled with olive oil. A small wick burns with a gentle yellow flame. The light is soft, warm, peaceful. It dances across painted walls and wooden furniture, creating long shadows that move whenever the flame flickers. One lamp does not produce much light. A family may use several lamps if they can afford them. Even then, the room never becomes as bright as a modern home. Corners remain covered in shadows. Faces glow softly in the gentle light. It makes the whole house feel calm. Outside, darkness slowly spreads across the streets. Without electric lights, the city changes completely after sunset. The narrow roads that felt busy only a few hours ago now seem much larger. The crowds have disappeared. Most people prefer staying indoors once night arrives. It is safer. It is warmer. And besides, there is not much to do in a dark street. You step outside for one last evening walk. The cool night air feels refreshing after the warmth of the day. Moonlight reflects off the stone roads. A few lamps burn beside important buildings. Most of the light, however, comes from the stars above. Without bright city lights hiding them, the night sky looks incredible. Thousands of stars sparkle overhead. The Milky Way stretches across the darkness like a glowing river. You find yourself looking up more than looking ahead. Probably not the best idea while walking. Roman roads still enjoy surprising your feet from time to time. As you continue, you notice that the streets are not completely empty. A few people still move quietly through the city. Some are travelers trying to reach an inn before it gets too late. Others are workers finishing their last jobs of the day. A baker prepares tomorrow morning's dough before going to sleep. His work starts long before sunrise. Nearby, a stable owner checks on horses and donkeys one final time. Everything must be ready for another busy day. Then you hear footsteps, steady, calm, purposeful. A group of night watchmen walks along the street carrying lamps. Their job is simple but important. They keep an eye on the city while everyone else sleeps. They watch for fires. They help keep order. If trouble appears, they are among the first to respond. Fire is one of Rome's greatest dangers. Many buildings are made partly from wood. Homes stand close together. A single small flame can become a huge problem if nobody notices it in time. That is why the night watch stays alert. You quietly step aside as they pass. One of them nods politely before continuing into the darkness. Soon you return to your Roman home. The evening meal has ended. The dishes have been cleaned. The family sits together for a little while longer. Someone tells one final story about the day. A child laughs while trying to imitate a noisy market seller. Everyone smiles. Simple moments like these are often the ones people remember most. Eventually, it is time to sleep. Bedrooms are not filled with large furniture. Most are simple. A wooden bed stands against the wall. Ropes or woven straps support a mattress stuffed with straw, wool, or feathers, depending on the family's wealth. A blanket waits neatly folded. A small chest holds clothing and personal belongings. That is about it. Roman bedrooms are made for resting, not showing off. Poor families often have much less space. Several people may sleep in the same room. Children share beds or sleep close together. In crowded apartment buildings, privacy is a rare luxury, but families make it work. Home is not measured by the size of the room. It is measured by the people inside it. Before climbing into bed, someone checks the oil lamp one last time. The flame is carefully lowered. Oil is precious. There is no reason to waste it while everyone sleeps. Soon the room grows darker. Only a tiny glow remains. You lie down on the simple mattress. It is not the softest bed you have ever used. But after walking through Rome all day, almost anything feels comfortable. As the city settles into the night, you begin noticing its quieter sounds. A dog barks somewhere in the distance. A donkey lets out one final loud complaint before settling down. The wind gently moves through narrow streets. Somewhere nearby, you hear soft footsteps as another late traveler heads home. A baby cries for a moment before falling asleep again. The city is never completely silent. It simply changes its voice. During the day, Rome speaks through busy markets and crowded streets. At night it whispers. You close your eyes and think back over everything you have experienced. You woke before sunrise. You shared a simple Roman breakfast. You walked through crowded streets. Visited markets filled with food from across the empire. Explored homes both rich and poor. Relaxed in the public baths. enjoyed dinner with a Roman family, watched plays, races, and festivals, visited mighty temples, met hardworking soldiers, learned beside Roman children, and now, at last, the city is ready to rest. Tomorrow will begin exactly the same way. The bakers will wake before dawn, the blacksmith's hammer will ring once more, merchants will open their shops, teachers will welcome students, soldiers will march, farmers will head to their fields. Rome never stays quiet for long. One last breeze drifts through the open window. The final oil lamp flickers gently before going dark. The stars continue shining above the sleeping city. You pull the blanket a little closer. Your eyes grow heavy. The sounds of ancient Rome slowly fade into the distance, and before you know it, you have become just another peaceful sleeper beneath the same night sky that watched over the Romans 2,000 years ago. The city is finally asleep. The busy streets that echoed with footsteps all day now rest under a blanket of moonlight. The market stalls stand empty. The blacksmith's fire has gone cold. The baker's ovens are quiet, at least for a few more hours. Even the donkeys have stopped arguing with the world. Rome has found a rare moment of peace. As you lie comfortably beneath the stars, it feels like the perfect time to look back on everything you have seen. It has been a long day, a very long day. You woke before sunrise to the sound of roosters calling across the city. You opened your eyes inside a Roman home, where another ordinary morning was just beginning. Breakfast was simple. Fresh bread, cheese, olives, a little watered wine, nothing fancy, just enough to give people the energy they needed for the day ahead. Then the streets came alive. Merchants opened their shops. Bakers filled the air with the smell of warm bread. Blacksmiths filled it with slightly louder smells. Actually, that doesn't make sense. Let's just say they filled it with plenty of noise. Children laughed as they played games. Street sellers called out their prices. Neighbors greeted one another. Some hurried to work. Others stopped to chat. The city never seemed to stand still. You watched farmers working under the warm sun, builders lifting heavy stones, craftsmen shaping wood, clay, leather, and metal into useful objects. Merchants trading goods from every corner of the empire, soldiers training with discipline and patience. Every person had a role, every job mattered. Without them, Rome would never have become one of history's greatest cities. You wandered through lively markets where fruit, vegetables, fish, spices, and colorful fabrics covered every stall. The whole world seemed to gather there. Ships crossed seas, caravans crossed deserts, roads stretched for thousands of kilometers. All so that people in Rome could buy pepper from India, glass from Egypt, or fine pottery from Greece. The empire was connected in remarkable ways. Then you stepped inside Roman homes. Some were grand houses filled with fountains, gardens, mosaics, and painted walls. Others were tiny apartments where families made the best of very little space. Different homes, different lives. Yet every family ended the day around the same hope: a safe place to rest. The public baths surprised you, not because they were places to wash, but because they were places to meet friends, exercise, relax, laugh, and forget about work for a little while. Romans understood something many of us still need to remember today. Sometimes slowing down is part of living well. Dinner brought families together, simple meals for some, lavish feasts for others, honey cakes, fresh fruit, bread shared across the table. Stories told between bites. The food mattered, but the people around the table mattered even more. You watched actors perform in crowded theaters. cheered beside enormous crowds at thrilling chariot races, listened to musicians filling the evening air, smiled at storytellers whose words painted pictures more powerful than any screen. Long before movies or television, imagination entertained entire cities. You explored temples where people quietly offered prayers. You visited family shrines tucked into peaceful corners of homes. You watched colorful festivals fill the streets with music and celebration. Faith was not something Romans visited once a week. It walked beside them every day. The soldiers showed you discipline, not only in battle, but in ordinary routines. Marching, training, building roads, writing letters home, missing their families. Behind every famous empire stood thousands of ordinary people doing difficult work. The children reminded you that history is not only made by emperors and generals. It is also made by students carefully writing on wax tablets, friends racing wooden hoops through the streets, parents helping with homework, children dreaming about the future. Some things truly never change. As darkness covered Rome, tiny oil lamps glowed inside homes across the city. Families gathered together. Stories ended. Doors closed. The city slowly drifted toward sleep. And now, here you are, looking back on one ordinary day in ancient Rome. When people imagine Rome, they often think of giant armies, powerful emperors, huge temples, the Colosseum, marble statues. Those things are certainly part of the story, but they are not the whole story. The real Rome was built by ordinary people, by bakers waking long before sunrise, by mothers preparing dinner, by fathers repairing sandals, by children laughing in dusty streets, by merchants hoping for one more customer, by builders lifting another heavy stone, by teachers patiently explaining another lesson, by farmers wondering if the next harvest would be a good one. Most Romans were not trying to become famous. They were simply trying to live good lives, to care for their families, to earn enough money, to stay healthy, to find moments of happiness between long days of work. In many ways, that sounds surprisingly familiar. Today, we have electricity instead of oil lamps, cars instead of horse carts, phones instead of handwritten letters, supermarkets instead of crowded Roman markets, soft mattresses instead of straw-filled beds, running water inside our homes instead of public fountains. The world has changed in amazing ways. Life is often safer. Medicine is better. Travel is faster. Knowledge is easier to find. But beneath all those changes, people remain wonderfully similar. We still wake up thinking about the day ahead. We still work to support our families. We still gather around meals. We still celebrate birthdays and holidays. We still tell stories. We still laugh with friends. We still worry about tomorrow. And we still hope for peaceful nights. History is sometimes described as a list of kings, wars, and great victories. But history is also breakfast, homework, shopping, family dinners, neighbors talking over a fence, children playing games before sunset. The quiet moments are just as important as the famous ones. Without ordinary people, there would be no extraordinary history. So as the stars shine above ancient Rome one last time, take one final slow look across the sleeping rooftops. Imagine the tiny oil lamps fading one by one. Imagine families safely asleep after another ordinary day. Imagine tomorrow already waiting just beyond the horizon. Soon, the bakers will light their ovens again. The merchants will open their stalls. The teachers will welcome their students. The soldiers will begin another march. Life will continue just as it has for generations. But for now, the city rests. Your journey through ancient Rome has come to an end. Thank you for walking its streets, sharing its meals, meeting its people, and discovering that behind every great civilization were millions of ordinary lives, each with their own hopes, worries, joys, and dreams. And with that gentle thought, the stars continue their quiet watch over the eternal city. Good night, ancient Rome, and good night to you.